Hello everyone and welcome to the 9th episode of my Minecraft Let's Say series. In the previous episode, as you may have seen, we built this brilliant mob farm which I have been using to collect many mob drops. As we'll see down here, I've AFK'd a tiny bit at it. I've got a lot of gunpowder, lots of string, lots of arrows, lots of bones, and of course lots of rotten flesh, which I've actually been using to trade with our villagers, which seem like a distant memory right now. But in the course of this episode, we will be doing several things. I plan to get some villagers actually in my base. But before we do that, and before I start doing anything with villagers, because they're a pain and it's several hundred blocks even in the nether just to transport them, I want to get some of this built up. And in order to do that, I need a lot of stone, and I don't really have any good way of mining a lot of stone very quickly. The eagle-eyed amongst you may have noticed that in my hotbar and in my inventory, I have a lot of blocks of rare materials, and that is because down this hole here, I have started digging out a small hole where I'm going to put my beacon, because I went off camera and I did a bunch of mining, and now I have a lot of resources to make a beacon out of. So let's go down there and place those. Those who know Minecraft well will know that the average beacon needs a 9x9 first base, then a 7x7 second layer, a 5x5 third layer, and a 9x9 fourth layer. And in order to do that, that requires somewhere near 2.5 stacks of blocks. So this took a fair amount of effort to get, I'm going to be honest with you, but it wasn't actually as long as I was anticipating, and now we of course can get to the good stuff, which is using this beacon to do insta-mine. Now, we can't use insta-mine on deep slate, so unfortunately there's no actual way to get rid of that as quickly as we'd like, but with a beacon it should make it slightly more bearable. All of this mining of resources will be able to get me things so that I can inevitably start building with my colour palette, which should be some stones, but I reckon I could definitely go above and beyond and use things like deep slate and tough in my builds, because I actually have a lot of tough, because there's a lot of it in the world and I don't really know what to do with it other than just use it in builds, I suppose. There's also this cave here that naturally generated, which I don't think will be much of a problem. I think I went through earlier when I was mining at y equals 16 for all of my iron needs, which is actually, I believe it's the most optimal level to mine at for iron. And since iron is really plentiful when you get down to that level, it's quite a good shout if you guys ever need iron. So I'm just going to cut to it and let's start placing blocks. Right, here we are. All of the blocks are now placed, so let's just hit the beacon, and there we are. That's the advancement beaconator, which means that I've set up a full level 4 beacon, and now I will use this one piece of iron I have. I don't know why I'm using iron, I really shouldn't, and now I should have haste 2, so there we are. And oh yeah, this pickaxe is efficiency 4, okay. One moment while I go find my other efficiency 4 pickaxe and combine them, because apparently I forgot that very crucial step. Efficiency 4 obtained, and let's go for it. I hope anyone who hasn't really understood why beacons are used can really understand now why we use beacons, because this is just so useful. I don't think it's easy to understate how nice it is to be able to just hold down left click and look at some blocks and just get rid of them instantly. Insta-mine is so useful. So yeah, I'm going to spend a little bit of time just mining up some blocks, and I'll get back with you guys once I think I have enough stone for this project, because believe me, it's not going to take me long. Bit of a different location now. I'm currently in my lovely nether tunnels, and I've got a villager in the back of the boat, and I'm slowly dragging him back to my base. I've got a reason for this. I've been intending to set up some kind of like villager breeder or villager trading hall over at my base, because flying all the way from my base all the way down this tunnel, going to the villagers and doing all of that is pretty annoying, and I prefer to have them all in a packed space. So with all that said and done, I'm going to show you some of the progress I've been making with all of my mining. I I actually recently went over to my village, talked to I believe my stonemasons, and sold a lot of my stone. So if I ever need a lot of emeralds, I can just do more mining. But I guess I'll be carting this guy over very, very slowly, and I get to show you all the progress I've been making. So yeah, I'll see you over there. I've parked that guy over there, and I'm just going to go down here. I'm going to drop down really quickly and show you all the work I've been doing. It's not exactly an easy fall. There is a ladder, but I don't really want to use that. And yeah, I've done just the tiniest bit of mining around. I believe over this way, sort of along this side, there's a big aquifer cave. So if I ever want to mine any of that out, I'll have to fill it in. There's a geode here. Might use this for a farm at some point in the near future, but not entirely sure yet. And yeah, so I've done a fair bit more work down here, but that's not, of course, the focus of what I was doing. My focus was, of course, on getting more buildings in, and also building this area. So I've sort of decided on the design I'd like to use for this area. I'm not going to use a manually sorted system here yet. I don't think there's quite enough space. At some point, I might dig a big space out down below and do a big sorter there, but I think up here it's going to be slightly more manual. So yeah, that's what I've got an idea for here. I might just place the chests down and then we'll just get to it so I don't have to keep carrying everything around in multiple shulker boxes. Yeah, let's go do that. Right, that took almost no time at all, and I've got some chests. So now if I want to start filling it out with, say, stone or deep slate or redstone devices or general other blocks that I tend to get a lot of that I don't really need to have in my ender chest, I can start putting them here. But now that that's down, I think it's time to head into a tiny bit of a time lapse and just start getting an idea of what, I guess, this part's going to look like, and then a bit of what that's going to look like. So let's turn our hitboxes off and let's hit it. I paused going through the time lapse just for this moment, just to interject and just see what it looks like, because I sort of want to go through the process of actually making this and just verify that it doesn't look dreadful. And you know what? I think that looks pretty good for an outside. So for those of the uninitiated who don't know what I'm going for with this base, the main idea is that this is a big clock tower and there are buildings like here that are attached off to the side. And there is a big city, a sort of like harbour area that's going all around these this little archipelago. And this is basically what my base is going to be like. So this clock tower is going to take a fair bit of time to put together. And I'm just trying to see if the block palette I've currently got is looking good enough. I think I like the tuff over using andesite, although I can't be certain for that. Because the andesite is the tuff, I mean, is that bit noisier. So I'm not quite sure on that, but I think for now I'll just roll with it. If I ever need to mine a lot of tuff, I should be able to find some fairly easily. But yeah, I'm just going to crack on with a bit more building, so I'll cut back to the time lapse now. as you saw in that time lapse there, I've now got the ring around the base now all set up, and there is now a lovely floor here. So I've also brought the other villagers over. I've just started working out, what villagers do I want over the most. I've got this guy here who I've been trading with. I've also got my mason here. But the annoying thing in that right now is that I can't really trade with these guys, and while I would really like to get this base done, I'd also like to get a bunch of emeralds so I could stop putting all of my iron reserves down there, and also getting stuff like iron farms and so forth later on would be, pretty nice to have. So I'm thinking, with them in boats right now, I need to start setting up somewhere. I'm thinking somewhere over here, probably this space, right, where I can have a big old villager trading hall. So I've had thoughts about maybe putting it on this main island, but to be honest, I think this is mostly just going to be storage and the main base and some miscellaneous buildings. I don't know how much of actual base I'm going to be putting here, so for the most part, this will probably remain just being one building for now. Maybe later on I'll revisit it and start looking at other things, but yeah, for the most part, this will be just this itself, nothing else, but I'm thinking definitely up this end of the island is a really good space for a big trading hall. But of course, in order to build a trading hall, I need a build palette and blocks and so forth. So I'm going to have to pop into a creative test world and start thinking about how that's going to look before I even put a single villager in there. I suppose as an extra note to that, I would also have to add a villager breeder plus an iron farm somewhere. That'll probably go off in the ocean over there, where I've sort of just kept the land so I don't have to. Well, I'm not doing anything there, so I can put like builds and stuff up there. So maybe having iron farms over in the ocean. That might also be a raid farm, and I'll eventually do like some prettying up, like I've done, like I might do over there in the future. But yeah, so I've got to go and do some building, I guess. Okay, so I've done some work off camera on my creative test world, and I finally have a design I'd like to use for this build. It's going to be sort of like a cathedral or a very gothic, I guess, church of some kind. That's the kind of design I'm going for. Do let me know once you see this lovely time lapse we're about to enter if you have any ideas for it. Do you like the themes? Because I know I've sort of built more rustic over here, and this build feels a fair bit different. There's a lot more grey in it, rather than, having wood in it or anything. But I kind of want to see how this style goes to see if I want to move on to that with other builds in the area. And I've had some ideas for farms, definitely over there. Using those pumpkins to get emeralds has not been fun, so I'd like to definitely have some farms of that. I've also got some acacia, and this might take a fair amount of time to build. So without further ado, let's just get into the time-lapse, so see you there. Now, there was going to be a time-lapse here, but as usual with everything I tried to do, Replay Mod decided that it wanted to break, and for some reason decided that all of my pauses in between cuts in that time-lapse are now all gone. So unfortunately, you have me voicing over very passive-aggressively that, yeah. So I built the facade, you'll see that in the next clip. I just didn't have time to put that in the video because apparently the replay mod file didn't work, basically. So yeah, let's go on with our video. So I've now done the face of the building, and yeah, the time-lapse did not lie. It really is just the face. There is no back, of course. As with every Minecraft YouTuber, the back comes at the very end. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this looks, even though I haven't added any of the extra details. I do need to get some colored dyes so I can do the windows and the back to the windows, because there's a little trick you can do with black concrete to make it look like there's an interior when it's just black concrete, so it doesn't look as bad. But yeah, I need to go get those resources, then we can finish the front, and then we can actually start working on the interior, which I have been grinding resources over there for. So yeah, this build is getting along quite nicely. I really like how the front came out. I think this as a thing to add to the little collection of buildings we've got over here. I know that I haven't really worked on this much, but this will eventually be worked on, but I would like to prioritize villagers for now, since working with villagers is a pain. I'd rather get it over and done with so they're all in one place, so I'm not having to have all these guys here. I'm trading with them, they're getting emeralds, so there's a benefit to that, but I do need a place to have them, and that's the place of this But yeah, so I need to go get some dyes from those squids down there, and then we can start working on this. And yes, there'll probably be another time lapse. So the effect I want to show off is one that's pretty simple to do if you have any window in a big build that you don't actually want to use as a window and more of sort of decorating part of the exterior. So the first part is just layering a bunch of black concrete. Then, once you've got that black concrete in, you can go and start putting some panels in. And once you've done that, once you step away from the glass, you'll see that the panels sort of look, at the moment, it doesn't look very realistic, but once I get more glass in here, it'll start to look a bit like a window that's sort of got a dark interior because you can't actually see the interior. So if you ever plan on building a big structure like this with a sort of very functional interior and perhaps some innards you don't really want to see, but you still need to decorate the front, I'd recommend going for that because that's a very useful tool and you can make a lot of windows that are really colourful and really cool without actually having to build all that much in them. So yeah, maybe take that into account when you're building something. But I'll do this on the other side and the other parts of the building where I've got windows planned, and then I'll catch you guys in a time lapse where I'm going to be doing the inside and probably some of the sides. So yeah, let's go. And here we are. The interior is about half done. I'm not sure how much of it I want to continue, so I'm not certain on how far back I want to push this. I know that I want to have a few blocks of space at the end before I have the end of the hall and I bring the whole structure in. That would be a big basement area. I need someone to breed the villagers. I actually realized that the area I have is not quite big enough, but I reckon I have vertical space below that I can use for that, so that will work out eventually. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this is looking. Do let me know in the comments if you have any ideas on any suggestions to change it, but I really do like the stone brick, acacia, dark oak, birch sort of palette. So really, really nice, I guess, monotone. They complement each other quite well, especially the trapdoors with the birch and, well, of course, the acacia with the trapdoors as well. So yeah, let me know if you have any ideas on what you want me to do here. And now I've done the fun bit, which is the building. Now I have to do the less fun bit of moving all the villagers in there. So wish me luck. Now, some quick breeding later with the two clerics. I've actually started moving this one over to the hall. Has netted me these two guys here. And now these two young men here, or young man and woman, or whatever, they will be my great source of extra villagers to populate my breeding hall. So after the actually not that bad process of moving every villager in, I'll just fly over and show you. I've also started on some of the framing for the building. Once I do the time lapse for the rest, I do need to figure most of it out. So I don't want to complete too much of the building first. But yeah, so I've moved most of the villagers that I've had in at first in. This guy here is also already. I've been training a lot with my stonemason mostly because stone's very plentiful in my mines. But over time, I should be able to get all of these guys filled in. And of course, with the help of the two villagers I have over there, I'll be able to multiply my population without having to go a million blocks to find another village. So I need to move this cleric here and that cleric there. Then we can start digging out the little hole where I'll do all the breeding. So yeah, let's crack on. I have moved the villagers down here into this lovely little hole I've dug for them, and I've started planning out where I'd like to build my Impulse SV villager breeder and carrot farm. So one potential problem with building this is that I've heard that the way villagers interact when they're making babies is different now, so I don't know if this design will work. I'll probably have to do some tests on that. But yeah, so once I've got all of this set up, I should be able to have a carrot villager over here that'll be feeding to these two guys, and then they'll make a bunch of babies. Then I'll all be very, very happy because I'll be able to get lots of babies and be able to populate my big old trading hall. I've been trading with these guys, as I mentioned earlier, a little bit, but to be fair, I haven't really done all that much trading because I've been wanting to populate numbers first, and this is a real grind to do, so yeah. Well, I'll be popping on with testing this and seeing if it actually works in 1.20, and I'll see you guys in a little bit. So, to demonstrate, this villager breeder is now done and all set up. I had to move the beds, so they're now in this order. They seemed to not work when they were all next to each other in that original configuration, so apparently having one block apart seems to make it work. There's children down there, so that should all be working, although I think there is one stuck. Whatever. Anyway, this is now working, and now that that is all working, I can get ready to start on the base right here. So we're about to hit into another time lapse, and I guess I will be seeing you on the other side. So let's go. Now that the sides of the building are now in place, I am really happy with how it's starting to look. I haven't got the glass in yet, and I'm going to be honest, I'm not quite sure on the spacing between the windows. They could possibly be a bit further out and maybe a bit less. Having 4 doesn't quite add up yet, but I think once we get the roof in and it's all, one coherent structure, it will all be looking very good. So I'm probably going to be doing the roof off camera in just a moment. I'm not really going to time lapse it. We've had far too much time lapse for one video to handle, so I figured I'd just do it, in my own time. So I'll get on with that and I'll show you the final build and we can finally wrap up for this video. Right, so more time than I'd care to admit later, I've finished the roof, and the build now, for the most part, is finished. I kind of struggled a bit with trying to figure out how to unite up that side of the building and this side of the building, because there's like 1 block difference between the two, so actually making them line up is a bit of a pain. So it does look a little bit blocky and non-uniform. I might change that later because, yeah, it doesn't look great. And in fairness, I can just raise this part up like a block or 2. It's like a block difference, so no big deal there. I also added a lightning rod because when I was building there was a lightning storm and I was very scared that one of my villagers was going to get struck by lightning, but fortunately we're all good on that front. And I'm hoping to expand the area out here in the very next episode with more buildings. I really want to actually get started. I'm probably going to start doing it off camera because I want to get a pumpkin and melon farm in, because at the moment I'm trading rocks, and rocks don't have a great exchange rate. They're not particularly amazing, and there's already mobs spawning inside. I've made a horrible mistake. Anyway, I do hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please hit the like button. I suck at the game. And if you really enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This is me, Paperzlel, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye. And also, while you're at that, do let me know about the shaders, because I quite like how this makes the game look. I'm normally not a big fan of shaders because it detracts from the experience, but these look quite nice. So, of course, let me know that in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.